One question I get literally all the time is, Tim, how long does it take to play piano? Well, it takes exactly 39 days, 21 hours, and 22 seconds to learn piano. Of course, I'm just kidding. There is no finite amount of time it's going to take you to learn piano. A lot of people ask me hoping that I'll give them something definite like that, but there's a lot of factors at play that will determine how long it's going to take you, and we're talking about that today. So factor number one is, how much natural ability do you have? A lot of us are, not prodigies, and it isn't going to take us just 5 minutes to learn piano, or even just a few days. There are some very rare exceptions. You've probably seen them out there on YouTube with a 5-year-old that can play piano like way better than probably I'll ever be able to. But for the most part, a lot of us take different amounts of time to learn things. And within music, there's some things you're going to learn right away, and some things you're going to really struggle with. So don't feel bad if you struggle with something that everybody else gets, because as you move along, you might actually find something that you get a lot faster and other people struggle with. So one of the big factors, like I said, is how much natural ability do you have, and it's very subjective. It's not just you're here or here a lot of times. A lot of times it just depends on what the topic is. All right, let's get into the second factor. Factor number two is, how much practice time do you have each day? Some of us are really busy, like myself, and you don't have 3 hours a day to practice. Some of us have hours and hours a day to practice. Some of us want to practice for long periods of time. Some of us do not. So that's obviously going to factor into, how much progress you're going to make over a period of time. In general, so long as you're spending time on the right things, more practice equals better results or faster results over a period of time. So if I practice 4 hours a day over a month, I'm going to make a lot more progress than just practicing 1 hour a day over a month. But realistically, not all of us have that luxury of time. In fact, a lot of us who are adults, especially, I can't even imagine what it's like having kids. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how all of you do it. Have kids, work, and then do everything else you need to do. I'm barely keeping afloat here. So, you have so many things on your mind, so many things to take care of. So do what you can, but obviously the amount of time you're spending will have an impact on how much progress you're going to make. Okay, the third factor is, how many days a week do you practice? Not only how much time during the day do you have to practice, whether it's an hour or 3, but how many days can you get consecutively, most importantly, to practice? Practicing a little bit each day over a long period of time is much better than practicing hours and hours all at once. However, if you only have 1 day a week to practice, that might be what you have to deal with in terms of making progress, and that's something that's going to factor into it. If you can, try to get more days of practice in and less time. Obviously if you could get 4 hours a day every day, that would be absolutely amazing, but you're 99.9 of us probably are not going to be able to do that. So get what time you can, and then if you are only getting it in on 1 day, see if you can rearrange your schedule to get them in, maybe smaller sessions every day. Okay, factor number 4 is, how well do you focus during your practice session? Earlier I mentioned that obviously the amount of time you're spending is going to factor into it, but really, what are you spending your time on? Are you goofing around, or are you getting right into the things of what you really need to cover? What I recommend you do is come up with a list of things you have to cover during the practice, like scales, sight reading, ear training, or whatever you feel like you need to add in your practice mix. You can obviously also ask your teacher, if you have one of those, what you should be practicing each day. Make a list of those. Cover those things first in your practice session, and then goof around. I actually recommend you do goof around just a little bit during your practice, towards the end, of course, because learning piano should be fun, right? And if you're spending all your time on these things that you may kind of like, you may not like at all, you want to be spending some time on things you do like I mentioned in one of my previous videos about losing interest in piano and needing to reignite that you do want to have some fun when you practice, but it can't be all fun and games, because if it is, you're not going to make that progress that you want. Okay, factor number 5 is, how do you define learning piano anyway? A lot of people, when they ask me how long does it take to learn piano, I think in their minds they have, how long is it before I can play like Mozart? Well, the answer is probably never. I hate to tell you, because Mozart was a genius, a prodigy, and trained from the time he was very, very young. So like I said, a lot of us do not have, I don't even know if I would call it a luxury at that point, but the luxury of the time and the talent. So when I'm talking about all this, I'm talking about how long does it take to be able to read music, play pieces on your own, gradually get into more and more difficult pieces as you get along. But basically, can you play piano pieces for somebody else, and do those pieces sound like what they're supposed to, or close to it? You know, can you play Happy Birthday on the piano, and does it sound like Happy Birthday? You could even say that at that point you've learned piano. You can play something on piano for somebody, but it really depends on what you're shooting for and what your goals and how you define it as. I'm making a very loose definition, but the answer is if you're actually looking for the answer of how long does it take to master piano, become concert level, all that stuff, it depends on all the factors that I've given you above. However, it really depends on how far you want to go, but to be honest with you, to master piano and get to that level, it takes years and years and years and years and years and years and years, and I really believe that you can never completely master piano, because there's so much more to learn out there. Like, the more you learn about piano and music, usually the more that's out there that you can understand. So it keeps expanding and expanding and expanding, and there's no real definite endpoint, especially in the modern age where we have electronic music, and there's different, things to learn behind making those sounds, the oscillators and things like that. So there's always new stuff to learn thanks to technology, even if you do somehow master all of the classical, Baroque, 20th century stuff. So there's a lot to learn. It'll take a lifetime to master. Okay, I really, really want you to subscribe and smash that bell, because YouTube doesn't tell people about my videos anymore. You have to subscribe and hit the bell, because we have new lessons coming out all the time. I don't want you to miss a beat. Remember that we meet live Fridays, Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern. I would love to see you come out live. And check out this playlist if you want to start getting into learning piano itself. And I'll throw in another lesson here on music theory, so check those out. And the other lessons on the channel, there are a ton. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you in the next lesson.